Hello guys, another video from Negronomy, and today's video is entitled Talk Black to Me, Canadian Political Parties. So today we're going to be talking about, we're just 7 days away from a federal election here in Canada. So this video is going to talk about, what's in it for us as Black people here in Canada. Are any of the political parties, catering towards us for an economic development? Are they going to be supporting us in dealing with racism? Are they going to improve our health care? Are they going to improve business development? So we're going to look through the 5 major political parties, and then we're also going to look through the party leaders, give a little background on the leadership, and then we're also going to be describing who make up the Black population here in Canada. Now, y'all all know Justin Trudeau. He'd be out here in these political riots, getting rocks thrown at him, people chasing him right back into his tour bus, and also, with all the scandals, and I don't know why he called the election, but okay, he went ahead and he called the election because he wants, to get a major political party in Canada so he can do a lot more. But it doesn't look like it's going to turn out his way, because right now it looks like from the response of people coming out that he's having a couple emergencies where he has to get, his own security and bodyguards. He out here getting attacked. It's getting crazy. So if I was Justin Trudeau, I gotta duck out of all of the rock throwing going on. But anyway, let's go into the first major political party, which is headed by Justin Trudeau. He had the Liberal political party, who is now currently in power here in Canada. They're the minority government, and they're trying to get the majority because he wants to do a lot more, because all the other political parties are giving, this Justin Trudeau a hard time. So let's give you a background on Justin Trudeau. Now, Justin Trudeau, he's the son of a popular prime minister in the 1980s, Pierre Trudeau. All the Black people that came in the 1980s from the first wave of immigration, they all know Pierre Trudeau, because Pierre Trudeau was the one that brought in the free health care. He loosened up immigration for most Black immigration. The largest immigration came through the Liberal Party. So a lot of Jamaicans and people from Haiti that came in the 1980s, when they came into Canada, they vowed to be liberals, thanks to Pierre Trudeau, because he loosened immigration, and he also made it easy for Black people from the Caribbean to come in. So that's why everybody, it's like, how the Black people in America gravitate towards the Democratic Party and their policies. It's the same thing here with the liberals. How the Black people, they usually tend to follow the Liberal Party. So this all starts in the 1980s, where a lot of them were coming into immigration. So that's why a lot of them have a high favor for Liberal. Now, the Liberals, they're not far left and they're not far right. They're right in the middle. So you pretty much, you like and hate their policies, but they're not on the extreme scales. So when you look at it, you see Justin Trudeau, he's a young politician. He was a teacher. He's bilingual. He can speak French and English. And you don't really see that in America with the politicians, where they have English and Spanish, but you never see none of the politicians really speak Spanish when they come up to the rostrum. You never see Donald Trump or Biden come up to the rostrum and have a whole 5-10 minute talk in Spanish. But here in Canada, they take it seriously, the bilingualism. So you'll see them speak both English and French. And Justin Trudeau, he can do that. He's been living in Ottawa all his life, so he's got the bilingual stuff down. But unlike some of the other political leaders, they're not that strong in being fluent, because remember that here in Canada, and the French and the English, they all settled about the same time, and they all came together, to have a truce that we're gonna call this country Canada, and we're gonna have both English and French represented. So it's very strong here when the politicians come out, they're bilingual, and you'll see that you'll interchange from French to English to show that, that they have favors towards the French and also the English. You don't really see that in America. but you see that in Canada. So that's Justin Trudeau. So he's the head of the Liberal Party. The next biggest party would be the Conservative, which is headed up by Erin O'Toole. Now, he's a lawyer, he's a war veteran, and he just took this leader status. They've had different leaders come in and out, but now Erin O'Toole is heading up the political Conservative Party. Now, they would be like the far right. Like, what would you, like the Americans, they will classify that like the Republicans. So the political Conservative Party is really like your equivalent to the Republicans in America. So, they always fight for the far right ideologies. And a lot of blacks that came in the 1980s vowed that, if it wasn't for the Liberal Party in power to let them come in through the 1980s, and they let, the Conservative, if they were in power in the 1980s, a lot of the immigrations would be drastically reduced. So a lot of blacks, when you look at the history, they don't tend towards the PC conservative group. So you already had that back history. Most of them tend towards the liberal because, thanks to the liberals, most of us, even including myself, came from Ghana, Africa. So a lot of my parents are always going to vow to be liberals. A lot of the Ghanaian community are going to be vowed to be liberals. Not all, but most. So, even though, they tend to be more religious, the party conservative, and, black people like to be more religious, but we tend to follow more liberal ideologies. LGBT and the All Black Lives Matter and racism and visible minority. That's why we will vibe more with the Liberal Party. The next party is the Bloc Quebecois. The Bloc Quebecois, I would say, is more of a group that's fighting for Quebec ideologies. Even though they were, they don't become a major political party, they at least had their presence in the parliament. So then it always reminds people that, the Quebec people are here, and, they always are able to go in there and swing votes to make sure that, political ideas and their representation of the French culture is in there. So their group is mainly to protect the French culture in Canada. Now they talk about separating themselves from Canada. That's kind of like in America. If Texas, if all the Spanish people in Texas decided that they're going to create a political party and they're going to carve out Texas out of America, that's pretty much the same thing that's going on with the Bloc Quebecois. They want to carve out Quebec away from Canada. Especially when they had the referendum, but of course they voted to stay in Canada. So that's pretty much it. Like the Bloc Quebecois, they're pretty much a group that always wants to keep their presence in the member of parliament, so then the French culture is always maintained in Canada. So they're headed by Yves Francois Blanchet, and he has like a French accent, you can tell that, but he's also bilingual, so they always make sure to show that. And you see, the thing about Bloc Quebecois is that I see like a lot of people from Haiti and the French-speaking countries, Côte d'Ivoire, will probably they would follow some of their ideals because they want to protect the French culture. And you see in the 80s and 90s, when they had a lot of English-speaking black people coming into Canada, the people in Quebec were also fearing that we need to bring up our population so that we're not overrun by English-speaking Canadians. So this was a great opportunity for people from Haiti, people from Côte d'Ivoire, the French-speaking countries. They loosened up immigration for more French-speaking people to come into Quebec to populate it, so that they're not overrun by English-speaking people from Ontario and the rest of Canada. So Bloc Quebecois will fight for immigration and others like that. So that's why people from Haiti and Senegal, they really will vibe with the Bloc Quebecois, because they also made sure that it made it easy for these countries to increase their immigration. So and when you talk about the the Black Francophones, then you can see where they would really vibe with Bloc Quebecois. And then the next political party we want to talk about is the NDP. Now, when we talk about the NDP, it's run by a visible minority, Jagmeet Singh. Now, this is one of the first political parties you would see a person of color, Jagmeet Singh. Now, this guy is a young, vibrant, charismatic. He uses the Obama playbook. You see him on the Breakfast Club. He's all over Facebook. He's like city TV everywhere. That's Jagmeet Singh. He's like city TV everywhere. So when you talk about Jagmeet Singh, he's very charismatic. He's got a nice looking wife. He's young, and if one time he took off his head covering, and he looked like Jason Momoa. So that automatically all the girls were all over him. I'm talking about all over social media talking about Jagmeet Singh. So there's a lot of excitement that comes with Jagmeet Singh and being a person of color, and so a lot of people can relate to him. He came as with an immigrant family. He came from the bottom to the top, and now he's here. He's a lawyer. He's running headed one of the big political parties in Canada. So a lot of people, you see, he's already know that the people that are over 40 have already made their minds of which political party that they're gonna vote for, and usually they don't change. But Jagmeet Singh, he's gonna focus on the younger crowd, the under 40. That's why he's using the Barack Obama playbook to go on Facebook, to go on social media networks, to really come after the young and get them to vote for NDP, because that's where you're going to be able to really swing the vote, is to get the young people interested in politics and to vote for your party. So that's why he's really his policies, you'll see, they're really geared towards young people. So even for me, he's really caught my attention. Usually you tend towards liberal, but then when I saw Jagmeet Singh and he's young and vibrant and charismatic, it's almost like Barack Obama coming in. So a lot of young people are going to vibe with him. Even though in the history NDP has been a small minority party and haven't reached a vote, he's really been gaining a lot of grounds. Like, he's going from British Columbia all the way to PEI, traveling everywhere to really push. There's nobody working harder than him in the political arena right now to really get the vote. Now, the next person we're going to talk about is the Green Party, Annamie Paul. She's headed by Annamie Paul. A lot of people, you might know her sister, Ngozi Paul, who was the actor of The Kink in My Hair, was a very popular black TV show. I guess about maybe 5 to 10 years ago, it was very popular. So she's another black woman of color, and a lot of black people like to see people come up to power. And when you see her in a political party, heading up a political party, a black woman, it's like you almost give your kudos to her. Now, a lot of people, I'm not saying all black folks, but a lot of black folks are gonna look at her sideways because of her white spouse. Now, when you look at Barack Obama, the reason why Barack Obama was really able to secure the black vote in America was because he had a black spouse, Michelle Obama, and black children. But with Annamie Paul, she's a black woman, but she's married to a white man. To some people, especially blacks, if you look at blacks, 80% of them are married black, both have black spouses, black husband, black wife. So 15-20% are interracial. So you'll see there that, a lot of times when this happens, it's kind of awkward. But if she really wanted to secure the vote like Barack Obama, then, that's how it is. But sometimes it's funny like that in the black culture, because the racism runs so deep that it's still, we haven't recovered over it. So that also plays a feeling into it. And some of you guys are gonna say, "Oh, William, you're starting to talk not politically correct." But this is YouTube, so I can say whatever the hell I want. Whatever the hell I want. So, guys, when you look at Annamie Paul, she's a lawyer. You see her, she really got it from the bottom to the top. She's really fought to really get to this. But for the last couple of months, her political party has been in a squabble. A lot of fightings, a lot of people leaving. So she's really had to deal with that during the election. And another issue I have with the Green Party is that they put most of their focus all in Toronto. Unlike, the other political parties that are going all over Canada. She's putting most of her focus in Southern Ontario. That's another problem I have with the Green Party. And, another problem that I have with the party is that they only focus on really left ideas, far left ideas. So a lot of the traditional people are gonna find her ideas. Of course, they sound very well, but how are you gonna pay for all of these social programs? That's my only critique that I have with the Green Party, is that they have a long list of things they want to provide, but how are they going to be able to provide those programs? And the same thing with Jagmeet Singh, that he's starting to say all kinds of stuff, and they're always coming to him and asking him, how are you going to pay for all of these promises? And he said, we're going to tax the rich. And so you see, taxing the rich. A lot of people that vote, most of the people that vote are rich old white men. So that they wouldn't find that in their favor. But that's not what Jagmeet Singh is really going after. He's going after the young crowd that are just coming up. They don't have, the wealth status. So that's who he's going after. That's a problem I have with the Green Party. Other than that, good luck. So guys, we're going to go ahead and talk about who makes up the Black people here in Canada. Now you look in Canada, population of 35 million people, identify. 35 million people is the population in Canada. 3.5, about a tenth of that population identify themselves as Black. And 1.2 million are the ones that are actually living here, documented, because you also have tourism and people that are not undocumented, like students, immigrants, refugees. So when you put all of them together, even though they may not have the ability to vote, they still can influence other Blacks that are voting. So it's not like you cannot talk about refugees, because that's like our brothers and sisters. So we're always going to be voting to look out for those brothers and sisters too. 15% of Blacks in Canada identify themselves as biracial. So that means more than one ethnicity. So that could be white, Asian, Arab, Indian. And then when you look at the median age of Blacks in Canada, the median age is 30 years old. Compared to the rest of Canada, where the median age is 40 years old, the Black population is very young. So with policies that Jagmeet Singh is going for to attack for the young people, this is really talking for our population, which is mostly a younger population. And then 25% of Blacks are under the age of 15 years old. So reaching out to the young crowd is going to be very important to get the Black vote. And then 51% of Blacks are Black women, so it's a little skewed more for the women. And then when you look at Blacks, 56% of Blacks in Canada 2016 are immigrants, first generation immigrants. 35% of Blacks in Canada are second generation immigrants, which you have the citizen by birth. And then you have the 10% third generation immigrants, which is people like from Nova Scotia who came up from slavery. They were largely represent that. So a tenth of that. So you'll see that most of the Blacks here in America, more than 50%, just came within the last 20-30 years. They're first generation immigrants. So the first wave of immigration right in the 1980s, when the Liberals were taking power, 200K, 85% of them were Caribbean from Jamaica and Haiti. 50% from Jamaica. at least 50% from Jamaica and 50% of them from Haiti. So 50% of the Haitians, which are francophones, probably rested in Quebec, and the other 50% migrated to Ontario. So so the French are always trying to make sure that they keep their numbers high enough so then they can get their representation in the members of parliament. So that's why you have a large migration of the Haitians in Quebec. And then from the 1990s to the 2000, another 113,000 came into Canada. 65% of them being Caribbean and 25% of them being African. So this is where you first see the first wave of Africans coming into Canada. And then you have from 2001 to 2010, it's 50-50 Caribbean and 50-50 African. So you have 50-50 Caribbeans and 50-50 Africans that are coming into Canada. And then from 2010 onwards, African is now the largest black immigration that's coming into Canada, making 65% of black immigrants coming into Canada are Africans. So now, when you have right now, if you took a snapshot of 2016 of who make up the black population in Canada, you got 20% Jamaicans, you got 15% Haitians, you got 6% Nigerians, you got 5% Ethiopians, you have 5% Somalians, you got 4% people from the Congo, you got 3.5% people from Ghana, and then you got 3.5% of people from Trinidad and Tobago, and another 3% from Cameroon. So you'll see 60% of blacks in Canada speak English as their main language, and 20% of them speak French. And most of them are clustered within these major cities, which are mostly in southern Ontario and southern Quebec. So you got Montreal, you got Toronto, you got Ottawa, you got Edmonton, you got Calgary, and Oshawa. So guys, now that we know who the political parties are, and now that we know who makes up the black population, let's go into who is actually catering to our needs, and then from there we can decide, who is actually looking out for the best interest for black people. All right, let's look at these political parties' agenda. We're going to start off with, we're going to go through the Liberal, then Conservative, then the NDP, and then the Bloc Quebecois, and then lastly, the Green Party. So let's look at the Liberals. In terms of healthcare, this is very important because of the whole virus situation going on. Everybody's got to have an agenda for healthcare right now. to do other than that would be insensitive. So especially with the black population, where we're the ones getting the higher rate of infection and we're suffering the most from this virus, it would be important to find out what the parties have in terms of healthcare for us. So let's talk about the Liberal Party. What they want to do is increase care workers. So they want to increase the amount of healthcare workers right now. They also want to increase the minimum wage for healthcare workers to $25 an hour. So all the PSW that are like at $15-20, they're gonna go all the way up to 25. That's like almost being like an RPN. So now RPNs are also worried, are we also gonna go up? But I'm hoping that when they bring their wages all the way up to 25, it'll be a trickle up effect. So the RPN will also move up to 30, and then the RN will go up to 45, and everyone else will start to move up, upward. It'll be like a trickle upward if there's such a thing. And they also want to increase mental health worker crisis. So let's go ahead and give them a round of applause for that. And the next party here, we have the Conservative. Now, the Conservative want to increase privatization in our healthcare. And they do not support pharmacare for all. Let's go ahead and just boo them. The next party we have is the NDP. So now the NDP, they're gonna have a whole bunch of stuff. So y'all ready for this? Okay, here we go. They want universal pharmacare. So that means everybody's going to be getting, just like how we have to pay for all of those medications, everything. No, they're going to scrap that out, and you're going to make sure all of y'all are able to get the medication that you need. They're going to end private nursing homes, starting off with Rivera. Oh boy, they're coming after these private nursing homes because these private nursing homes during the whole virus thing, they're the ones that had the highest number in infections and the most death rate. So they had a problem going on. So NDP, they coming for Rivera and all these private companies. And then now the next people we have, they're gonna increase mental health. With a lot of with the Black Lives Matter and a lot of the shootings going on, that's where they came up with increasing the presence of mental health workers to avoid bad situations where if they know the person has mental health issues, then they can have a mental health worker that will go in there and deal with the problem other than just throwing up gunshots and ending their life. So the next thing is they want to stop extra billing because some of these doctors, I'm not saying all, but some of these doctors are shady. So they want to stop all this extra billing where, they try and run 2 or 3 billing for the same cycle. So they want to take care of that. So let's give them a round of applause for that. The next party is the Bloc Quebecois. The Bloc Quebecois, they don't want to give, pharmacare for all, but they want to at least reduce the cost for these prescription medications and these drugs. So that's a good thing. And then they also want to continue privatize nursing homes, but they want to raise their standards. So, they'll let them do their business, but they're going to have a short leash on them. And then they're not looking too much into increasing mental health workers into the healthcare field, so it's not a big issue to them. And then for the Green Party, it's almost like what the NDP is promising. So they want universal pharmacare. They're far left, so you're gonna see these policies for the Green Party are gonna be more far left. So universal pharmacare. They want to control drug fees, and then they also want to bring nursing homes, long-term care under the Health Care Act. I got a good clap for that. That is a good idea, because what happens is when you bring long-term care under the Health Care Act, that means it's the same privilege as OHIP almost. So that means everyone is allowed to go to long-term care without being restricted due to payments. Now, I'm sure they're still going to have private rooms and semi-private, but at least now you don't have to come out of your pocket to pay for these beds by bringing it under the Health Canada, because the code will make sure that the taxes will be paying for those long-term care beds if you're unable to. So now they don't have to come after families, to take care of them. And maybe they'll loosen up our RSPs. If that comes through, that means you don't have to really come out of your RSPs once you're in the nursing home. And then they want to prosecute. They want to prosecute some of these nursing homes, these private nursing homes that, when the army came in and they gave them a failing grade, they want to come in and prosecute them. Right now, they're not being prosecuted because they have laws and protections that they just brought in during the whole outbreak to stop people from prosecuting nursing homes, because there was a lot of these homes where when they didn't exercise cleanliness, that some of these family members, they wanted to take these people to court, but the government came in and put a blanket, a shield over a lot of these nursing homes. But the Green Party, if they come in offer, they're coming for people like Rivera, Extended Care, Leisure World. They're coming for them. So, you got to give it up to them. Now, in terms of the pandemic, what are they planning to do for the pandemic, these political parties? When we look at the Liberal Party, what they want to do is increase paid sick leave and also modernize or enhance employment insurance. So to keep going with the CERB for people that are not able to return back to work for one reason or the other. So now when you look at the Conservative Party, remember they're far right. They don't want to, they want to cut all public services and deregulate these industries. So they have no plan of really giving more leeway and more funding towards pandemic. And even if you allow when they had the debate, Justin Trudeau kept on, throwing jabs at, the political conservatives, saying that most of the people in their party, they don't have to get the COVID, and they're not pushing them to get the COVID shot immunization. So they're always throwing that in, that, that they don't really care about healthcare. So now when we go now to the NDP wants to increase paid sick leave. And they also want to continue the CERB, just like the Liberals. And then for the Bloc Quebecois, when it comes down to the pandemic, they got no plan. They don't know what's going on. So they have no plans. Forget them. But the Green Party, they got a long list here, guys. So this is what they want to do during the pandemic. The far left. So they want to protect whistleblowers, the people that are going to be snitching on these nursing homes, like the armies and people that were snitching on them. They want to enhance the whistleblowing policies, because they're coming after these private homes that have just been unclean and shady, short staffing. They're coming after them. So they want to come after them. They also want to bring high-speed internet. Now, I remember when I went to Syracuse, New York. When you go to Syracuse, New York, they broadband free Wi-Fi throughout the whole city and give you 30 minutes to an hour free of internet. I think that's what the Green Party wants to do in a lot of these major metropolitan cities, is to broadband free Wi-Fi for 30 minutes to an hour. I think that's what they want to do, which is a great idea, because when I went down to Syracuse and my reception wasn't too good with my Canadian phone, I was able to log into the Wi-Fi and I can do my phone call, check my internet, my emails for free. It's a great idea. And then also they want to increase electric cars and vehicles, and also increase EI. Now all these parties that want to increase the healthcare, they're all going to target the rich. That's how they're going to be paying for all of these increase in EI. So, get ready for it. So the next issue we got here for the political parties is when it comes to childcare. Now, with the whole everyone being indoors, a lot of these companies, a lot of these businesses that had childcare and they had to close down, and now they're starting to reopen now that everything's normalized and coming back to normal and schools are being open. Let's see how these political parties want to support childcare, because remember, a lot of in the Black community, 30% of Black women are single mothers, so they're going to be looking at childcare, and that's going to be 51% of the Black population is women. So out of that, 30% are going to be are going to be looking at childcare. They're going to want to know what's happening with childcare, and also the other 70% that do have children. I would say probably another 50%, they're still struggling. Even though it's a two-parent household, they're still struggling, to juggle childcare, because childcare is very expensive. $500-600 a week. It's out there, on top of paying rent of $2,000-3,000, and then childcare being a couple $1,000s, and then you gotta pay for food, clothing. So this is very important for the Black community, for childcare. So what the Liberal wants to do is they want to create 3,300 new childcare centers, because a lot of them have to be forced closed down. Some of them haven't come back, so they know that they're gonna need all those people to open back up, plus more. So that's the Liberal Party. So let's go ahead and give them a thank you for that. And then we got the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party they only want to provide child care for people that are in poverty, which are, households making less than 50,000. But 50,000 is nothing. In Toronto, it's nothing. In Montreal, it is nothing really. So to only give assistance to people that are making under 50,000 in their household is really nothing. So they're far red, so they don't really care. Now, when you look at the NDP, they want to bring universal child care. So, and they want to provide relief funds for a lot of these families coming out of this pandemic. And they also want to double down. They're going to double down to bring money towards child care. So they really are trying to look out in terms for the minority immigrant family. And when you look at the Bloc Quebecois and childcare, they've been quiet. They have no stance. That's them. Nothing for childcare, so forget them. And then when we look at the Green Party, now the Green Party is always gonna have a lot. They want to bring universal childcare. Same thing with like the NDP. They want to bring universal childcare, so they want to be able to provide a wide array of services for children and their mothers who are coming out of this pandemic. So now the next area, I'm not going to go through all the areas. I'm just going to go to the major areas that really are affecting Black people. So the next major area when we talk about racism, the Liberal Party, as you can see, within the last 4 years, they really have been trying to fight racism, by giving hundreds of millions of dollars to Black businesses. You've even seen Justin Trudeau come out to the Black Lives Matter protest, and he gets in the middle of it. He's really coming together with the Black people, making his presence known. Many occasions he's come to Black Lives Matter protests, and he's made a lot of policies to help Black people specifically, not just policies for immigrants overall in Canada. He has policies focusing specifically on Black people. He's also going to fund Black service workers. He wants to expand disabilities to include mental health. He wants to really go hard on bringing mental health and mental health workers with, police officers. When they go to hostile situations, they want to bring in mental health workers who are going to come in and try, and bring down the death rate and stop going into constant violence. Because as you can see, there has been some situations in Canada also where the police have resorted to gunshots to end the issue. Like in America, it's a lot more, but in Canada, they've had 2 or 3 incidences. So we're a tenth of the population of America. So whatever happens in America, happen in Canada. And also, he wants to increase LGBT rights. So it's very comprehensive. The Liberal, they've been very comprehensive with anti-racism. When we look at the Conservative, they want to decrease wait time for mental health, and they want to end blood ban. So I guess there's a stigma with LGBT when they want to give out blood, that I guess they've been stopping them from giving blood, or that's made one of the questionnaires of asking them, are they associated with this group? So they want to end this ban with giving blood, because giving blood has nothing to do with being LGTB. Because all they have to do is scan the blood and see if there's any diseases. They need to just stick to the science, and if the blood is bad, then don't give it, because you can find infected blood with straight heterosexuals, and the same thing with homosexuals. So there shouldn't be no reason, because it's all about science. It's either they have it or not. It's not because that you're homosexual that you should be stopped from giving blood, because that really is just a stigma. That's just a stereotype that has nothing to do with science-based. And they also want to sponsor, they want to have refugee sponsorship for LGBT. So if you're married to, gay and lesbian marriages from another country, then they support that also. So let's go ahead and give them that for the conservative, which is surprising to me that the conservative will follow this stance. Now, when we go with the NDP with racism, it's a grocery list, guys. They have a long list here. They want to identify hate groups and they want to come after them. They want to end carding by the RCMP, which is, where they allow police officers to randomly approach black people. They don't have to give them a reason why they're coming up to them to ask them for questions and questioning. Before, usually if a police officer wants to stop you, that means you committed a crime like speeding, or that you've been stunt driving or in and out of lanes, or you caused an accident. But carding allows them to just stop you for no reason at all. You could be on the highway and they can just stop you and ask you for information, and you would have to give that information to them. So they want to end that carding, which is really a target for black folks. So they want to end that. They want to implement African Canadian justice. So they want to create a group of talented black men that are in the legal aid society, and they want to help them create this group to attack issues in the black community of why they want to reduce crime. They want to know why it's so prevalent, and they want a livable income, kind of like Andrew Chang, to make sure that everybody is getting enough money to live in Canada, because like Toronto, one bedroom can easily go for $2,000. So they want a livable wage for everyone. They also want paid leave for domestic abuse, violence. They also want to end blood ban, just like the conservatives. They also want to add sexual orientation and gender equality to employment, and all of the public buildings should have gender neutral washrooms. So let's go ahead to NDP. They have a long list of how they're going to fight anti-racism. When you look at the Bloc Quebecois, this is what the Bloc Quebecois, this is their stance. They actually deny that there's any racism. They probably haven't been watching the TV for the last couple of years, but they deny there's any racism. They're not giving any disability support on their platform. They're not giving any support to LGBTQ. They're not addressing any other issues, and they're also not addressing women issues. Oh man, let's just go and just boo them out right there. Now, the Green Party, similar like the NDP, the list is not as long as the NDP, but it is exhaustive. So let's go ahead and look at the Green Party. They want to provide refugee services, make it easy for a transition into Canada. They want to have disability assistance for rehab. They want to also have the livable income, just like Andrew Chang in America. They also want to plan to end harassment in the military and workplace for women. And they also want $40 million to go towards building more shelters for refugees and women and children. They also want to end blood ban, and they also want gender neutral washrooms in all public buildings. So not as long, but it's also all the similar things as the NDP. So let's go ahead and give them that. Now, another area that I'm going to look into is the worker rights. So liberals, what they want to do is they're coming after agencies. They're coming at these headhunters. They're coming after people that are trying to privatize something that's provided liberally. So in some areas you do need agencies, but they want to come after that and really wean people off of agencies and privatization. And then the conservatives, they want to reduce protesters' right to picket. Oh man, what's wrong with the conservatives? And then the NDP, when we look at the NDP, they want to increase protesters' rights, and they also want part-time people, part-time workers to have the same benefits as full-time workers. Oh man, come on now, that's great. Oh, that's great. And they also want them to receive all the same benefits. We gotta applaud them to that. Come on. We need to give a strong black hand for that. Because a lot of times what these companies will do is they'll hire you part-time and you'll be working full-time hours for like 5-10 years before they actually grant you full-time hours. So a lot of these people, they should be given, full-time. If they're working full-time hours, they should be given full-time privileges. And then when we look at the Bloc Quebecois, they also want to ban agencies, but that's pretty much it. There's nothing else to them. And when we look at the Green Party, when it comes to workplace, they don't have anything going on. They have no policies, which was weird. Maybe I need to search for more, but that was pretty much weird. So that was awkward. All right, guys. So now the last part I'm going to talk about is education. When you look at the Liberal Party, what are their platform for education? They want to remove loan interest. They want to allocate funds, a large amount of funds to black students. Man, come on, let's give Justin Trudeau another strong black hand. And then when you look at the Conservatives, they have nothing. They don't want to do nothing for education. So let's just go and boo them right out. And then when you look at the NDP, they also have a long list, but it's not exhaustive. But let's go ahead and look at it. They want to cap tuition, which that's a great idea. We don't want to be like the Americans where, to do a 4-year program is going to cost you $250,000, $250,000 for, a program. Right now, I guess tuition, you would say $50,000. That for 4 years, it's about normal. So they want to cap tuition fees. And then they also want to eventually abolish the interest rates that come with those loan fees. So they want to get rid of all those loan and interest right off of those loans. So you just pay the $50K, all of it with no interest. And then they also want a $20K forgiveness loan for students, which is another great idea. You're knocking out half right there. So let's go ahead and give them an applause for that. Let's give them a strong black hand for the NDP. When you look at the Bloc Quebecois for education, they have nothing. Let's just boo them right out. For the Green Party for education, they want to abolish tuition fees. No. I know they won't be able to do that in 1 year, but that's their end goal, to actually abolish tuition fees. That's a lofty deal because everyone's got to get paid. I don't know how they're going to do this. If they do this, we're going to be paying so much taxes. Everyone's going to pay taxes. So that's a little too much. That's a little too much. Come on now. And I've noticed that when you pay for something, you actually treat it better than not paying at all. So the next thing is they want to cancel student loan debt. That's another of these lofty, impossible ideas. But if they do push it through, you can expect a lot of people to pay for taxes. And then they also want emergency funding for students that have loans right now. So guys, those are the stances. So when we look at these political parties, who is talking black to us? Alright guys, so we finally come to the end, and let's do a report card. Which political party is actually talking black to me? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to give them a report card. When we look at the Liberal Party, I give these political party an A, because they actually have policies that are geared towards black folks only. On top of other policies that benefit other visible minorities, they're the only party that will actually come out of the way and make policies just for black people. When we look at the Conservative Party, I give them a failing grade. I give them an F. I'm sure they're probably good for other ethnic minorities, but for talking black to me, they're not talking black to me. For the NDP, I give them a B. If they have some policies that that were just focused on the Black community, then I would certainly give them an A. And then for the Bloc Quebecois, I would also give them a failing grade because a lot of their policies they're nothing geared towards minorities, and they don't have any policies that are just for Black people. When we look at the Green Party, I will give them a C. They have a lot of ideas that they want to push through, but it would cost way too much for them to implement. And it's the middle class people that are going to be paying for all of those programs, which is going to be us Black folks. Most of us are middle class, so we're going to be paying for these programs that they have. So I would reduce some of the programs, like education. You can't give everybody free education. Who's going to pay for it? Can't give farmer care. Who's going to pay for it? And then you're going to bring the nursing home all under the Healthcare Act. Like, who's going to pay for it? So a lot of it is like they have a blank check and they're just going to run it through. That's why I have a problem with that. And they don't have any policies that are only for Black folks. So they're not talking Black to me. So guys, what do you guys think? That's my report card that I've given to the people. I still think the Liberal Party is gonna win the Black vote. If not, it'll be the NDP. And if the NDP really wants to win the Black vote, then they could always push a little further with some more policies for Black people. I didn't see any policies geared towards just Black folks only. So guys, what do you think? Leave a message down below. Like, comment, subscribe. This is Negronomy.